Hey there. Speakers Magazine brings up Black Speakers Network. Our interview today, we do this all the time. We've been doing it for about 6 years. So today we've got an interview with Dr. Cheryl Wood, which is our cover girl for the month of November. Yes, that is Dr. Cheryl Wood. Oh my God. So she does SpeakerCon every year. And so this is like the highlight reel of what took place because it was October 30th, 31st, 1st, and 2nd. So you're going to get the highlights of what you missed if you weren't there, okay? Because it was definitely one of the best ones that she's done. It gets better every single year. So, Dr. Cheryl, thank you for joining us today. And the co host today, the BSN co host, also a very, very good publicist as well. Rob YB Youngblood is with us, and he is bringing it as well. He's hailing from Richmond, Virginia.
Richmond or Rich Man, Virginia, depending on who you're talking to. Rich man, rich
Virginia.
woman. Yeah,
Yeah,
rich man,
right,
rich woman, Virginia. Yeah.
So he's hailing from there, and he's been on the journey with BSM for a while. Shout out to Brian Oles, who allows us to interview on his platform. He has over 20,000 Black speakers that are connected to him. And Speakers Magazine is the #1 magazine for Black speakers and the official magazine for BSN. So we thank him for his vision as well. And it's about collaboration. So all of us have different roads of how we got here, but we're all here together now. I met Cheryl years ago. I met YB years ago. But the common denominator that we all have is that we're all part of BSN and we all love Brian Oles. So thank you.
Well, there you go. That's true.
That's the common denominator.
Yep.
So let's start out with how you doing? How you doing, Dr.?
Oh my goodness, I'm wonderful. I am so fired up. You know how like you're tired, you're so tired, you're half delirious, but you're so excited you can't go to sleep. That's where I am. I'm in that phase right there. Like it's just so much greatness that came out of SpeakerCon this year. And you mentioned it, like this was the best year. This was year 6. And it was the best year. Not that they all haven't been amazing, but I think that got me to thinking, like, why was it the best year? And I think it's the best year because every year that I host the conference, I gain more clarity about what I really want and what I don't want for the conference. And that allows me to pull in the people who I know are going to deliver what I want for my people that are coming to the conference. So every year it just gets better because I get more clarity.
Yeah. And one of the things too that you did is you did the graduation and you launched a book. There was just a lot of pieces. So kind of go into a little bit about what happened this year that was different maybe in 2022 or 2021 even, because we had COVID, we did the virtual in 2020, but what was different between 21, 22, and 23 this year?
Yeah, so we've done graduation before. We've done the graduation, but this year normally we do cap and gowns for our graduates. This year we actually solidified the GSU, Global Speakers University, the GSU, our official uniform, if you will, which is our all Black with our red blazers. So it's just the whole look just was elevated. So many of my graduates were like, I feel so presidential. I'm like, that's how you should feel, right? It was just a different vibe. The second thing is last year I changed my model, and my model prior had been these very, very high level ticket offers for what I was selling in the space, right? Because ultimately, SpeakerCon, it's an enrollment event where we help people to get out of their way and say yes to themselves for stepping into the fullness of their leadership by elevating their communication and public speaking skills. So it changed, it shifted some last year because instead of having these just huge high ticket offers, right, which for me, I learned from the people that I was coached by, mentored by.
Yeah. That's a typical model.
Yes. But you have to kind of find your sweet spot. You have to decide what you want. And for me, although that was fine, I wanted to reach more people. So when I had a ticket price that's $15,000 or $20,000, and those are the options, it limits the pool of people that can say yes right now that I can work with. And I just really wanted to expand how many people I get to touch with my voice. So last year, for the first time, I shifted the model, I shifted the price points, and I brought in more people. So last year there were 13 graduates on my stage. This year there were 40 graduates.
Wow. Oh my
That's
God.
the,
I love that.
you know what I mean? Like that's a huge difference in terms of how many lives I get to touch, how many people I get to help to be more impactful when they're on the stage. And it just felt good to my soul. And I'm in a season in my business that I want to do what feels good to my soul, not just what puts money in the bank. That's great, that's important, that's necessary, but what feels good to my soul? Because one of my clients who was scheduled to graduate didn't make it to graduation. He actually transitioned about 2 weeks before graduation.
Wow.
He had just turned 50 years old. He was a bright, beaming light. And everybody knew it, right? You could feel it. And you knew that, ironically, her message was all about healing through grief. And she was on a mission to impact the world with that message. She was vibrant and energized and excited about what was next. And in the blink of an eye, she's no longer here. So it's just a reminder to me, again, every year that I do it, Cheryl, do what feels good to your soul, because that is going to allow you to play at your highest capacity, which means people get to experience the best version of you. And that means that's going to be a part of the legacy and what people are talking about when your transition date happens. And that matters to me.
Yeah.
That's what I love about you. You know, YB, she got trained from some of the best, but again, she is courageous. She's a trailblazer. She does it scared, right? It's like, feel the fear, do it anyway. It's like, okay, this is, if God is telling me to do this, you with me, right? Okay, we're gonna do this. And she and that's going to be a shift in the marketplace. That's a shift in the marketplace. The way people are going to do events and things like that is based on what you felt is really right for right now.
Yeah.
And that is so big, because I mean, there are so many from Brandon Burchard to Lisa Savage, all of them, you know, they do those type of things where it's like, okay, we have an event and then we do the high ticket, and that may work for them, but you know your people, your people.
Yeah.
And it's like, I want to serve my people.
Right. And it's not that I don't have high ticket. It's just for such a long time, I felt like that's all I was offering was high ticket. So it left so many people out of the impact that I want to make. And so it was just really coming into a space where what feels good for me and like you said, and the people that I serve, and that will allow me to, I always talk about the fingerprint, like your fingerprint, you know, being able to touch more lives. And I always compare it to, you know, when you watch those TV shows with the cop shows, and they'll come back and 6 months later they can dust and they can still find fingerprints.
Yeah.
Like I want people to be able to dust long after I'm gone and still find my fingerprints. And that means I need to think about expanding the number of people that I leave that fingerprint on. So for me, it just made sense. It was in alignment with who I am and what I feel is good in my soul in this season.
Yeah, and I can speak to that personally because, you know, last year I was a recipient. I received one of your awards and was able to bring my wife. My wife didn't know who you were, but it expanded the network. So that impact. So through me, and obviously you and I, we've had communication before, but I'd never been a part of your platform or to any of your events. So it was a wise move to say, hey, we're going to expand that. Now I become a voice box for you. Now your fingerprint is on me, right? Because, you know, at the end of the day, you know, I've had opportunities to work with several people. So I love that strategy. And I think a lot of folks who are building a solid speaker business outside of just doing their own speaking, they get to another level of doing their own events. So Cheryl, talk about that. Like for the people who've never heard of you before, right? So I mean, we take for granted that we get to see you on the cover every November. November is Dr. Cheryl Wood's month. It's like nobody else is going to get the cover but Dr. Cheryl Wood, right? But for the people that have just discovered you, right? The people that are just seeing you for the first time, how did SpeakerCon come about? And what was the catalyst? Where were you in your speaking business when you decided, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and step out and do this?
That's such a loaded question, Rob, because probably for 2 years I set on the idea of doing SpeakerCon. So before SpeakerCon, I used to host this women's event called Playtime is Over. People still associate me. Yes. People still associate me with Playtime is Over. And then I realized it was really over. I didn't want to do it anymore. I did it for 4 years. But then I was in, again, we have seasons in our lives and in our journeys and our businesses. And I was just in a season where I wanted to really niche down on the thing that I know I'm called to do, I'm born to do. It's my divine assignment. And for me, my gift is my voice and communication skills. So I wanted to use my gift and I wanted to impact more people's lives with that. But I really wanted to carve out a space for myself in the speaker industry. And so the reason the idea came to me, I'm like, wait a minute, there's a con, right? Convention for everything. There's a Comic-Con, there's a t-shirt con, there's a cookie con. Like I know because I've been to some of them. So I'm like, wait a minute, there's no speaker con? Like it blew my mind that there was no speaker con. So I did all this research. I mean, y'all, I Googled for about 2-3 weeks, making sure I wasn't stealing nobody else's idea. I just wanted to be certain. And it didn't exist. So I wanted it. I was like, oh my God, this is going to be mine. I'm going to do speaker con. And then I talked myself out of it for 2 years. I'd even shared it with a very, very close business owner of mine. I shared the idea. Yeah, I even had the logo already designed. Like when I get an idea, I run with it. But I didn't, I had all the info, everything I wanted, but I didn't move forward. You know why? Because my thought was, and this is imposter syndrome. Who am I to be the person who launches this thing that has this big name, SpeakerCon, when there are so many other gurus in the industry who have been doing it longer than me? So it was truly from a space of not feeling good enough, adequate, wondering if people were going to say, well, who does she think she is to be the person to host SpeakerCon when you have these names? And there's a laundry list of names of people who've been in the industry for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, even longer. So that kept me stuck and hostage for 2 years. And finally, it was like, God just was like, look, I still had a fire in my belly for that project. So if 2 years later, the fire is still burning, you got to move on that thing. I was like, no more waiting. And I bought the domain. I did everything I needed to do. And bam, I launched the first SpeakerCon, which was in 2019. And then
girl, it was fire. You hear me? I mean, because I went to Playtime and over, and you did the Playtime was over.
Yeah.
Playtime is over, right? Talk rock the stage, all that kind of thing. Playtime is over. But this is the very first one. This is 2017. Okay. And Speakers Magazine had just started, and she was doing Playtime is over. I was like, but when you went to then the other, right? This is
my last year too, because I started Playtime is over in 2014, 14, 15, 16, and 17.
Yes,
so I did it for 4 years. Yep,
you did for 4 years, and then around 2019, SpeakerCon.
Yes.
And when I went in, I mean, just the gifts that you give, the red carpet, the decorations, and your twin, Sergeant Cherie, running around there. Oh my God. And she had everybody come together. It was your mom was there. You know, I love your daughter, you know, and just your whole family's pulled together. And I just said, this is amazing. It was remarkable. The care that you wove together for every single detail was just amazing. And then launching the books for your tribe. It was like, and this is the thing that I like about SpeakerCon. It wasn't a Cheryl fest. Like some events are like so big where the other people are just like, it's big for the person who's giving it.
Yeah.
Even though she's the icon there, but it was about the people that she was serving. And everybody had their role. They were on the stages. They got the books. They got the graduation. They got the awards. Okay, talk about the awards you gave people, right? That was the other
It's
part.
so beautiful that you say that, because that's what I kept hearing this year was, wow, it's just not about her, because I had so many other people that were on the stage with me, my co-authors of the new book, Voices of Change, which I should have right here with me, but it's on my bookshelf. The honorees, for the first time, we honored 14 nonprofit organizations. They were on the stage with us. So it was this beautiful, the people who were in my magazine, Voices of Change magazine. It was a beautiful display of what my core belief is, which is all of us get to shine without any of us feeling less than.
Yeah.
And that all of us should be eating real good.
Yeah.
There's 8 billion people on the planet. Ain't no reason. I don't want a slice of the pie. I want a whole pie. I like to eat. I'm just saying. I don't want a slice. And it's enough for me to not have to just get a slice. But if we would collectively come together more and realize that if I have a platform that I can help somebody else shine, and they have a platform they can help me shine, man, we all win. And that
collaboration. That's YB's main
collaboration creates currency. And I love it because, you know, you spoke to a powerful point, Pam, in terms of understanding that, you know, the star power that Cheryl possesses is what's going to draw people in, but it's not going to outshine the people that's there. Right? You're going to get your shine. Like, you know how to play the game. You know how to operate in your lane, but it also allows for people to be able to step up. And that's where true collaboration comes from. It's not like anybody's taking anything away from you. And if they do somehow receive something, it doesn't decrease your light.
Right?
It doesn't decrease your light. I mean, I'm telling you, I felt honored to be on the red carpet. I'm a ham. You know, my people tell me that I'm a big ham. So I was soaking it all out. I was like, yo, it's all about me. I'm like, Lord, look at this. But it inspired me to say, you know what, eventually that's going to be me doing that. And I think that's what most people will probably felt, you know, coming from this event. Would you agree?
Yeah. I love that. Thank you for that feedback. And that's exactly how we want people to feel. I feel like one of my superpowers is not just my energy and my passion, but it is pulling people from out of the shadows and from behind the scenes to the front, and helping them to develop the confidence and the courage to not just be at the front, but be at the front powerfully, and to stand in who they are, who they've been created to be, you know, their gifts and their talents, and understanding, like you said, that it doesn't dim my light or make me less bright of a light because someone else's light is shining in that moment. And I think that is truly a superpower. For me, the reason that I did that, like one of the things I do is I put my students on my stages. And the reason I do that is because of and it's just not negative. It's just, I like to fill in the gaps of what I wish I had had in some of my coaching experiences. Does that make sense? So you invest, whatever. And I think education is important. It's critical. But education without the opportunity to implement the education, it's like, what do I do with it? So now I'm just sitting on a whole bunch of information, but I have nowhere to actually implement so that I can learn or put into practice what I've learned.
Right.
That I feel like was the missing gap for a lot of my coaching experiences. They still were phenomenal experiences, but I knew once I came into the space of speaking and being an executive communication strategist that I was going to fill in the gaps that I wish I had the opportunities for when I was coaching. So now I don't just teach my clients public speaking. I put them on stage so they can execute everything they've learned. If I teach them the art of storytelling, okay, now get on the stage and show me what you learned. Don't tell me what you learned. Show me what you learned. And let me tell you, last year I had actually 2 clients, but one in particular I'll just reference. Her name is Stavetta Dickerson. And she came on board last year and graduated this year. But this year, as a part of her graduation, I had her to speak on stage. When I tell you, it was literally like night and day. She got a standing ovation. I don't think there was a dry eye in the audience because the entire GSU community, which included the alumni and the team leaders, we all saw her on stage last year. She was a part of the speaker competition last year. She didn't win, she didn't place, but she was a part of the competition. And we were all kind of like, we didn't really get it. We didn't get, it was more poetic what she was doing. It was more poetry than it was a storytelling. Yeah, when I tell you what a year's difference can make when you are under the tutelage of somebody who's already done what you want to do, and you are coachable and you're willing to let someone tweak little things to help make you better. I cannot stop thinking about what she did on the stage this year at SpeakerCon. And she knocked it out of the park. She moved us with her story. She connected all of the dots so that we didn't have to guess what the story was about. And then she came back at the end, and my sister was sitting next to me when we were listening to her speak. We were right at the front. And so she had told us kind of like a little story at the beginning, and she came back at the end because we did this through her practice time. And she closed out the ending of the story at the end of the speech. My sister like just took her shoe off and was like, I was like, follow-up. She was like, no, she didn't come with the follow-up, because her follow-up was, oh yeah, and by the way, if you were wondering about my mom and dad, as of last year, they've been married for 54 years. But the opening of the story was about her mom and dad sitting her down as a young girl saying they were going to get divorced.
Wow.
She came back and she closed it out. Like, everybody was impressed. But that is what being coachable does. That's what investing in yourself does. That's what being hungry and wanting to be the best that you can be does. And that's what consistency does. So consistently for 11 months, she showed up to the sessions that I facilitated through GSU. And then about a week before the conference, me and her got on some one-on-one, because I was like, you can't be on my stage and you sound a hot mess. So let me hear what you got. like we just don't play that. You got to be ready to implement everything that you've learned over the past 11 months. And so again, her being coachable and consistent produced the results that she experienced at SpeakerCon. It was phenomenal.
Did you do the pitch thing again this year? Who
We
won
did.
this year? Who won
Let
this
me
year?
tell you about that. Oh my God. Okay. So we had 10 speakers who came from all across the country to compete in our Speaker of the Year competition. And they were all good. But y'all, there's this little, I'm going to say this very respectfully. There's this little old lady. She's 79 years old.
What?
She flew to SpeakerCon from California and took first place.
Out of here at 79.
79
Come on now.
woman, 79-year-old Caucasian woman.
What?
Flew from California and took first place in the competition. And
She said she wasn't playing. She said she wasn't playing no games.
And let me tell you something really important. This is why sometimes it's so important for you to get out of your zone of familiarity and go into new spaces. So I knew her and met her because I was in another competition with another community, and she was also in the competition. So we were both in the top 10. Well, she had competed in that competition twice and did not place. She comes to our community at SpeakerCon and we eat her up. Like, her speech was phenomenal. We eat her up. She moves the audience and takes first place. So I had to just ship that big old trophy, y'all, the 3-tier trophy. I just had to ship that to her back to California.
Wow.
Their trophy. So
I love that.
Yeah,
oh my
it was
God.
so good.
So that is
so
inspiring for anyone who feels like it's too late. Okay. 79 going on 80, right? 8 decades on this planet. And she's like, I'm going to take this trophy. Big old trophy. Okay.
And it was so funny. Look, afterwards, I knew she had flew from California, so I knew she wasn't going to take it with her back on the plane. And she's a little old thing, right? So little thing, I won't say little old thing. She's a little itty bitty kind of petite lady. Yes. So it's so funny. She wrote on a piece of paper her name and her address so I could ship her her trophy, right? And she put little arrows and she said, the big one. Like I was gonna forget that she got the big trophy.
Yeah.
Like, Sarah, I got you. I know what trophy you won, Sarah.
Yeah. Oh, she was intentional. She came, and you know what that speaks to? That speaks to when you have clarity and you have confidence and you have this desire to do the work. You know, you never fail if you just do the work.
Yeah.
And persistent, no matter
And
how
she
long
only
it
had
takes.
3 minutes. She had 3 minutes. Every contestant had 3 minutes to make an impact in that room. And for her to take first place, you know, again, sometimes you got to get out of your zone of comfort and you got to get out of your zone of familiarity. Sometimes people know you too well in the spaces that you're in, and you got to go amongst complete strangers who value that message at a whole different level. That was a testament of it.
You speaking something bigger than speaking, though. This is something that those of you who are watching that are not just speakers, that what she just said is very powerful. You can be in spaces where people are taking advantage. They don't really see the true essence or passion that you have. So you got to dust yourself off, dust your shoes off, keep it moving.
And hashtag get on an airplane and go somewhere else. I'm just saying, hashtag get on an airplane. Because I'm telling you that, you know, oftentimes the people who have the greatest access to you don't value it.
They don't value.
It's just the reality, you know, and it's like we don't have no love lost for them. I just understand that sometimes I got to go into new spaces in a new city, a new country, a new state to really get the value and the appreciation from others that I know I'm worth. And that means you got to know what you're worth. And if you're not getting what you want and getting what you feel that you're worth, get into some new spaces.
Spaces. That
Yeah.
is it. That is it. So one of the things, tell us about Tavis. There was an article that
Oh,
was written talking about Tavis. There's a little clip of his Q&A, not the actual part, but that'll be embedded in the magazine, all of your highlights. But tell us about Tavis, because
okay. I'm gonna do
Tavis
these little tentacle
Smiley.
things. I'm gonna pull these things behind my ear because it's so good. Y'all, I don't want to dangle it in my face. When I tell you, let me tell you something. I did not expect. This is how you know that the space that you're in is what I consider to be a divinely orchestrated space. So, first of all, I'm gonna be very honest. I was nervous. I was the person who was interviewing Tavis, and I was nervous about being the interviewer because Tavis is a very big thinker. If you've ever listened to him, you watch his stuff, very big, deep thinker. And I don't necessarily consider myself to be a big, deep thinker. I have other superpowers and strengths, right? Nonetheless, I was like, okay, am I gonna, are my words gonna be big enough? All the stuff you go through. Again, that imposter syndrome don't leave you. It keep checking in and trying to take over and be the loudest voice in your head. And I was just like, no, you don't get to be the loudest voice. Whether I say the right words or not, I'm going to do this interview. That was my first commitment to myself. I'm going to do this interview with Tavis. I'm not giving that over to nobody else. And my thought, what I expected, was that it was going to be a purely intellectual conversation that was going to center on politics. Because remember, the election hadn't happened yet. It was going to center on politics. It was going to center on journalism, on the media, how he got started, his journey, some of the things that he see, all that stuff. When I tell you, God took that thing, y'all, the conversation that I thought was going to be purely intellectual, he turned that thing around and was like, now here, take that. That man tore the house down. There is a clip on my Instagram page of him talking about the story of the men with the talents. When I tell you, I can't stop. You have got to go and watch this clip. It just blew us all away. But again, it says to me that he was in an environment where he felt that type of divine energy, not sit up in that chair and talk politics and journalism, but to speak what was on his heart in that moment. And what I loved about that, and then I'll come back to what he talked about, is that goes to those who are speakers. The thing that he did that I challenge all of my speaker clients in GSU to do is always show up in the room at least 30 to 40 minutes before you speak so that you can feel out what the temperature of the room is. What's the feel of the room? Well, that's what he did. So he already knew that the room was fired up. I mean, we had over 225, 230 people who were in the room. Every seat was full. Like, people were standing up in the back. So he could feel the energy before he even came to the stage. Yes. And people were laughing and people were smiling and crying, but we also had those moments where you could hear the across the room. So I was speaking right before I interviewed him. So he came in during that part. So he could feel what it was. And he took that information of knowing what the environment was, and he used it to his advantage. Because by the time he finished talking about your gifts, and he talked about how the first man, doubled his, and the second man, and they did something with it. But then he talked about how the last man buried his gift, his talent, and didn't do anything with it. And so God took it from him because he did nothing with it. And he compared that to how we have a talent or we have a gift, but so many of us bury it and do nothing with it. And then he piggybacked on it and he said, and the thing about it is they never tell us what the gifts were, but the one talent he had could have been the greatest talent of all of them, even though he only had the one, but he did nothing with it. By the time those women in that room, y'all, we screamed, we hooped, we hollered, we was about to throw shoes at the stage like you do in church. It was a beautiful moment that I will never forget. I will never forget. Maya Angelou says people will forget what you said. They'll forget what you did. They'll never forget how you made them feel. The way he made us feel in that room was that all of us were worthy. All of us were good enough, that none of us should be sitting on our gifts, that whatever the thing is, know what your one thing is. And he said, even for him, he didn't plan to write books. He didn't plan to be in media. He didn't plan to be in journalism. He didn't plan any of that. He said all he planned to do was to use his one gift, which was this, his voice, which was his voice. He said he knew of everything else he could do good. His gift was his voice. And because he used his gift, it opened the doors of opportunity for all the other things that he now does.
What I like what you said what I like what you said about it, because a lot of keynote speakers will just be such a diva, I guess I'm gonna say
Yeah.
it. And sometimes they'll
Oh,
be a
they
diva,
just,
and it's like, okay, well, call me when you're ready for me,
yeah.
right? And they'll come out a minute before this before they're supposed to, and it's like, I want to be separated from everybody. Don't just bring me my Fiji water, and I'm just, you
Yep.
know, and
Yep.
my red M&Ms because that's on my rider, and then I'll come out and deliver. You don't know about,
And
and
they can
it's
only be red, only all red. That's it, all red.
only the red M&M, whatever. But he was in the room.
Yes.
And that is good training from Dr. Cheryl for
Yes.
speakers. Don't be
Mhm.
that person that's like, oh, they're flying me in and this and
Yep.
that, and I'm just going to be separate from the people. You
Yes.
want to be in the room and then have to switch your message or understand where the people are in the room because you're feeling the energy. That's
Absolutely.
intuitiveness. That's the Holy
Yep.
Spirit. That's got whatever.
Yeah.
You know that they were in sync and in alignment for their assignment for you
Mhm.
for your conference.
Yeah,
Yep.
And
and
those
there
are
were
the
so
kind of
many
people.
other lessons I learned in that experience as well, which it's not that I didn't know it before, but I think it's a great reminder. Number one, when you're interviewing someone and you've brought someone who's talented and skilled and has this great expertise in, don't talk more than the person talk.
Yeah.
Like, you interviewing them. We're not interviewing you. Ask a question. Y'all, I let that man, I sit back in that chair, baby. And I told my sister, girl, bring me a tissue. Because I could feel the tears welling up in my eyes. And I
Mhm.
didn't cut him off. I didn't say you talking too long. I'm here to interview you. We want to hear your voice. They're gonna
Right.
have plenty of time to hear my voice. And
Mhm.
sometimes people who are in media and sometimes interviewers, they're doing most of the talking. And it's like, you brought the person and you may never have that person in your space again. Let
That
them share their voice. So
Mhm.
y'all, I let him blow the roof off of the top of that room, and I didn't feel anything, in terms of, oh, he showed me up or he showed out or he was bigger than me. We all get to have our light shining at the same time, and I will
Mhm.
never get to replace that experience of knowing that I've come this far. That makes me a little emotional in my journey
Mhm.
to have that opportunity to sit on stage with Tavis Smiley. Like, when he talked about the people that have whose feet he is set at, to be in the space with the Maya Angelos. I mean, the names he named, y'all, from since
Mhm.
a young kid, and to be on that stage was the gift.
Mhm.
Because it was like God saying to me again, I keep telling you, you are enough.
Mhm.
You are
Mhm.
good enough just as you are, even when you think you don't have the right big words to use.
I
Mhm.
forgot about this
Think
cover here.
maybe-
This was July.
Right. Even when you think maybe somebody else could have done a better job interviewing him. No, you are enough. And I've positioned you in this space to be enough. So it was just so many lessons in that I will never forget and hold on to dearly. And I'm just so grateful for the opportunity.
Yeah.
That is one of the things that I forgot about this July issue that we had mid-year. So that year, this year in 2023, you had 2 covers. So you made it for 2020, right? By doing 2 in 2023. But that was one of the ones where I saw you, Dr. Cheryl, just really, really uh, go to another level. Like literally, I just saw you go to another level. You were with Gloria Mayfield Banks and you were with Trent Shelton,
Yep.
Lisa Nichols. Uh, and it was, you filled the room and it was such an edifying experience. And they were all superstars, but you were actually shining light brighter than they were. When you came on the stage, it was fire. So I don't
Mm.
know if you went back and saw the tapes, but the tapes were you were fine. Of course, you were crying and all that kind of stuff. But it was one of those things where it's like, wow,
Yeah.
I've
And we were talking about this
seen
a little
that.
bit behind the scenes about the risks. Woo!
Mhm. Yeah.
And
Talk about that.
you got to be willing to put it all in, because
Mhm.
you see a bigger return or outcome on the opposite end, even though it hasn't manifested just yet. And that's
Mhm.
every year that I host SpeakerCon, I put everything in. I mean, it's very, very pricey to host a 4-day conference.
Mhm.
And then even for the one that I did the stage domination event with Lisa, Trent, and Gloria, that was major, major money, y'all. I'm talking about tens of thousands of dollars, multiple tens of thousands of dollars. And it's like, how much do you really believe it? How much do you believe in you and what you're destined to do and how you're destined to impact people's lives? Do you believe enough? Because one thing to say it, and it's one thing to journal about it, and it's one thing to go to a vision board party, another vision board party, but are you putting your money where your mouth is, right? When it comes to people's money, if you're putting your money into it, it's a deeper belief because it's on the premise of, I hope I get it back.
Yeah.
So if you spend 40 grand, you got to first of all have the 40 grand to put in order to get anything out. And sometimes you don't get it all back.
Yeah.
But it's like, but how do you take the experience, learn from it, grow from it, but also do it better the next time? Not say, oh, that was a loss because I didn't make all the money back. It's, how do I take that and grow so that I can continue to do it better? How do I become more financially savvy when I'm doing it? What could I have done differently if you don't make it? But sometimes, many times, like with SpeakerCon, it's a lot in, but the return is bigger than what I put in. So I always say, if somebody told you had to put 40 grand in, but you were going to bring 250 grand out, would you put the 40 grand? Would you find the 40 grand? Yeah, you would find the 40 grand. And that's basically like how SpeakerCon is, but it's still always hard to put that first 40K up, right? Like, it's like, okay, I gotta have that 40K to put in, and then serve in such a way at such a high level for the people that like pour into them so much that they are ready for their next season. And they see me as the conduit to help them get to that next season of them using their voices and touching lives. And then that's when the return comes back in.
Let me just ask this. I know about the transition, Pam, but give me one return on investment, not just the money, because you said something powerful. Put in 40, get 250, right? Yeah. Possible. Yeah. But what would you say intangible? What was a return that you got from doing your conferences? Like, what would you say? Like, give me an example of maybe an intangible return that you got from doing your events.
Yeah, that's a great question. Honestly, the intangible, it is the feedback from the people who come to the conference. But most importantly, it's seeing how the students who came the previous year and made an investment in themselves, how differently they see themselves. Like, that is priceless. You cannot put a price tag on that. I mean, you guys would probably think I'm a big old crybaby if you saw how much I cried behind the scenes, because it's just like, wow, God, you did that through me. And that is such a beautiful space, because most of us say we want to be used as a vessel, but then to see the change, to see the transformation, to see these people who came just 11 months prior and they lacked confidence and they had imposter syndrome, a lot of the things I struggled with when I first started speaking, and they didn't know how quite to develop their story, and they didn't know how to put together a speech, and they didn't know what came first, second, and third, and how to move the audience and how to utilize the stage. Like, to see them start, I won't even call it mastery, but to see them in a completely different space where they are more confident, they are more courageous. They've peeled back the layers of their story that they really didn't want to tell until they got into an environment that gave them permission to say, you are not the product of what you've been through. And you don't have to run in shame for what you've been through. What you get to do is you get to share it so that you get healing. And number two, you get to share it so somebody else gets freedom. So it's like, I just feel like it's two things in our voices: healing and freedom for others. Healing for ourselves, because the more you talk about a thing, the more you take the power away from the thing that tried to break you. And then freedom for someone else who's currently going through it and felt like they could never get out of it. There's a freedom now to say, oh my God, if she can, I can. If he can, I can. So to see them come into that zone of confidence, courage, power, and then knowing how to move the audience with their story and their experience, that's man, that right there, that is the cake. That I'm gonna say it in reverse. That's the cake. The money is the icing on the cake, but the cake is their transformation that God allowed you to be a part of as a vessel.
That's it. That is, and you are about collaboration. So I really, really appreciate you being a part of Speak Sell Shine too. Every single year. This is our second year. So I know the trepidations of putting on an event that's like really major. So I just appreciate you, and your book. The Speaking Tips is the book that is like required reading for everyone to come. It's like, I don't teach you to speak, but you need to go to Cheryl to learn how to speak better and do the mastery of the stage. But the other part of promoting you is really like the main thing. And so the collaboration of that is really key. This cover is fire. I love it. The multi-day leadership and communication experience, SpeakerCon, she has that. I love that green, that money green there. and that Beyonce hair. There you go. There you go. That Beyonce hair. We just needed the wind blowing on it. That was up. That's the next.
Right. That's what we need, right?
Oh my God.
Oh,
I
my
love
light behind my camera.
yes.
But there we go.
Girl,
Hey.
that is fire. That is
Right?
fire. It's a whole nother, hey, Dr. Cheryl, it's a long way since Blog Talk Radio, right? So
Blog Talk Radio, y'all, back in the day when I was still working my full-time job as a legal secretary, and on my lunch break, I would do these radio interviews. Literally, I would go into one of the attorney's offices, whoever wasn't there for the day, and I would go in there, close the door, and I would be interviewed on Blog Talk Radio.
I remember that's how we met.
We've been around. We got history, Pam Perry.
Oh Lord. Okay.
Now, Cheryl, you know, when you have your board though, you talked about the young lady who came in from California. She's not able to carry her trophy. You just gotta walk through the airport with your speaker's banner though. That's a part of the ritual. That's a part of the ritual. You got, you know what I'm saying? You got to just walk through, because then they say, I'm telling you, because I think we got speakers that's booking gigs just off that alone. Now people just, you know what I'm saying?
That's so good. I love that. I got to go through there. Like, let me tell y'all who I am.
Well, absolutely. Okay. Oh, you ain't know? Like, you ain't know? Oh, you ain't know who I was?
Exactly.
Yeah, know
oh my God. People are taking pictures with the people, the pilots and the airline people and the TSA people taking pictures with the board. I was like, okay, this is a thing. This is
like PR. That's PR right there. That's PR. That's all positive PR.
I'm a cover girl. I'm a cover girl. You might want to take a picture.
Yes, that is it. So the next page, Monet. Watch my private notes over here. Okay. So this one right here, PR is what I do. I've been doing it for 30 years. Unabashedly, I promote Black speakers, subject matter experts. People say, well, do you promote other people? Yeah, I do. But my niche is, and I do have a niche, is really African-American speakers. So Tavis Smiley, obviously booking people on Black radio, Black newspapers. There's Black magazines. Black Enterprises is caters to that Black audience. So my main thing is really helping people to with PR for that particular niche. Speak Sell Shine, Cheryl, thank you so much for showing up. Second year in a row. This year it was so close to yours, but you did it virtually. The first year you came out to the press club, and people are still talking about the impact that you make, because you give people that permission to be themselves, and you tell your story about, hey, you know, I had imposter syndrome too. You get over it, and basically you help them with that. It's almost like you're the speaker therapist, right?
Well, listen, there's nothing like a Cheryl Wood hug though. You know what I'm saying? It's like she's a big sister or auntie. You know what I'm saying? Just to come in and just, you know, she pours that love, that spirit on you. You feel like you could just go out and talk to a million people after that.
And that's so good to know. That's so good. I'm gonna share a quick story if I can. Or do I have time?
Yes. Yeah, go on.
So what, 2 days ago or something like that? I forget the days because they just be running together. I was on a call. Someone reached out to me and asked me to speak on a call, and I was going to have 20 minutes to speak. And of course, it was going to be about communication and speaking. But anyway, so while I was on the call, I told the people I was supposed to speak at 11. I said, well, look, I got to pick up my son from school. I pick him up every day at 10:25 a.m. So I said, I got to go pick him up. But then by the time I get back, it'll be like 10:50, 10:55, but I will be on in time for my 11. Well, as I'm driving to go get my son, I pulled up the streaming on my phone so I could kind of get a vibe, hear the vibe. Again, showing up early so you can know what the energy of the room is, even though it was virtual. So I'm listening. So they must have seen me on the call, right? My name, but I wasn't ready. I was still in sweatpants picking up my son. So as I come back, I get back, I can hear them. One of the speakers ended quite early, like maybe 10 minutes before they were supposed to. So they had kind of this gap. So they're trying to move along. So they called the next speaker. There was a next speaker in front of me, and she wasn't on. So then they start reading out my bio and saying,
Lord,
we're going to move on to the next speaker, Dr. Cheryl Wood. I was like, oh my God, y'all. But let me tell you about when and this is what I shared with them. When you're called to do a thing, when it oozes out of you, when you can go from sweats to fully dressed for a conference, a virtual conference with lipstick in 60 seconds. Let me tell you, I was fully dressed in 60 seconds and on the screen like this. Hey, what's up? How y'all doing? I'm ready.
That's a world record right there. A
That's because
Guinness
you
World Record.
yeah, that's
Okay.
because you're Superwoman. You
I
carry that stuff and
already
you
knew.
just take your,
It was like preparation. I knew I was already going to be, maybe only 10 minutes, which I like to get on usually earlier than that. But I said, because I have such a limited time, let me have all my clothes already ready, which they were ready. I jumped in them clothes so fast and put some lipstick on so fast. You would have thought that I wasn't in sweats just literally 2 minutes before that. But here's the thing I really wanted to point out about that. When I got on the call and I did my little 20 minutes, and then at the end I shared, because I had a couple minutes left, like Q&A. And I said, this is the thing. Like, when you are born to do something, nothing can deny you from it. Not you going sooner than you were supposed to go for the speaking again. Like, you just adjust because you know that you have something valuable to share, and you don't want to lose any opportunity to touch people's lives. That's why I jumped on. That's why I didn't say, oh, pass me and come back to me, because I knew I had something valuable and important and potentially life-changing to share with somebody on this call who needed it today. Okay. So after the call, maybe later that afternoon, I get a DM from someone, and it was a DM from the person who actually was facilitating the event. They're back end people who invited me to come and speak at the event. Y'all, this is why I do what I do. She left me this beautiful message. She said, I need you to understand that, yes, when you come on any session, any stream or event and speak, the chat was filled with people's comments about how much they love the presentation. She said, so we already know that. And we know the impact you make in the moment. She's like, but I need you to understand how much deeper it goes. Man, that makes me so emotional. How much deeper it goes than that. She said, my husband, who's the person who's running everything, has really been having a difficult time in business lately. She said, and it has been hard to watch. She said, when I tell you, after he heard you speak, and he's heard me speak before, but he needed it in that moment. She said, after that, she said, everything shifted. She said, when you talked about being ready and knowing that's what you're called to do, and you can't throw in the towel, and you get ready in 60 seconds and you just go to work. She said, it created a light in him that I hadn't seen in a while, because he needed to be reminded of that. And I mean, she left me this beautiful, beautiful message about the impact even long after the speech is over, and how it impacted. And she said, thank you for how you impacted my family today. You impacted my whole family today, because it's a trickle down effect. What one person is experiencing, the whole family is going to experience. So, it's those things that make me keep showing up, even when times are hard. Y'all, trust me, it don't matter how successful you think somebody is. They are fighting something. Challenges, setbacks, roadblocks, disappointments, discouragements, stuff they thought they were going to get that they didn't. People thought they were going to get a contract, they didn't get the contract. They had a big contract and lost a big contract. So it's like, we still go through stuff, and we got to stay strong, and but you got to know, this is what I'm born to do, and I don't want to do anything else. This is my gift. Like Tavis Smiley said, I know my one gift, and I'm going to use that gift until I am no longer able to use it because of my transition date. So that's how I feel about what I do. And that, thankfully, that flows out of me in a way where people know that it's authentic and it's genuine, and I really genuinely care about them. And I think that allows me to magnetize a certain type of person into my space. And that's why the great energy that we get, and the passion and the vibrancy, because it is genuine, it is authentic, it is real. People who I work with are not just a swipe of the credit card. They're not just another number. They are people who I feel I have a responsibility for serving well, because God has assigned me to them. Like, they could have been assigned to anybody else's voice, but they were assigned to me. And that, for me, is a responsibility that I take very seriously.
That's that integrity. That really is. That is the entire integrity of that. So this right here, this lady here, Beverly Claiborne.
Beverly was there.
Yes, she was. She sent me some pictures of her by your big blow up sign and all that kind of. She was so excited to be in the magazine that was given out at the conference, and then to meet you. And again, one of the things she said, that you were so authentic, so genuine, just really, she bought all your products, the books and things like that. So she was excited to do that. And I just kind of like have some pictures of when we were at, I think one of those pictures are when we were at the press club. Another picture, we were doing something probably at Sean's event, and just some of the covers over the years that you have been a part of that. This was the one that the very first one was Playtime is Over, which it was hard for me to find. This one right here. That one was like the very first one because that was when you had that short hair. We should do a thing about the hairstyles of Cheryl, right?
You done
Okay.
seen me through a whole bunch of hairstyles, fam.
So that was, but this particular article talks about the sisterhood that we've had over the years and the partnership and, just how people are finding their voices through you. And then basically you pass them on to me for promotion and that kind of
Yep.
thing. But just a collaboration and just talks about the journey that we've had over the years is
And
really
that's so
good.
beautiful, right? Because I don't want to do what you do. I want,
And
like,
listen, I
that's
am
your
not
lane.
a therapist. I'm a publicist, so I
Come
can't do
on,
what you
come
do
on.
because I'm
Talk
like,
that talk.
okay.
Talk that
That
talk.
and when we all understand that everybody has their lane of brilliance,
Yep.
like it's okay. You don't have to try to serve everybody for everything that they need. I don't
That
want to.
part.
I don't have the bandwidth to. No, you want PR, you go to Pam Perry. Don't come to me. I'm gonna send you to her. Like,
And then if you can't speak well, I'm gonna send you back to Cheryl.
right,
So-
that it's like if we would do that more, again, we would all eat so well, and we would have
Mhm.
less business owners scraping the barrel,
Yes.
trying to
Mhm.
figure out how to survive and how to keep the business alive or keep the
Mhm.
business open. But
Mhm.
sometimes people just get greedy and they try to, they hoard everything, they hoard all of it to themselves, and
Mhm.
really they're setting themselves up for failure because ultimately, when you try to be everything to everybody, it leads to burnout.
Yeah.
Right? Or you're going to
Mhm.
fall flat in some area, which is going to impact your reputation. So I just say as they say, stand on business in the thing that is really your zone or lane of brilliance and genius.
Yes. So
Yeah.
Yolanda Smith was there as well. She was
Yes.
part of your community. So
Now
tell us a little bit
yes,
about Yolanda.
yeah. So Yolanda came on board. She actually graduated last year, and then she came on board as a GSU team leader. So what we
Mhm.
do is we have a membership ladder through GSU, and then we have a leadership ladder. And what we do is, again, we teach them the dynamics of public speaking. We put them on stages, but also what we do is say, okay, now the intention is for you to be a better leader through your communication and public speaking skills. So now we have this leadership level. So for the entire 11 months that they were with me, including Yolanda, she was one of our elite team leaders. They facilitate sessions every week.
Mm.
Oh, wow.
So I had 17 team leaders who were alumni. So they graduated, then they stepped into the next level, which was leadership. And what that did was allow them to, the feedback about me allowing them to facilitate the sessions is mind blowing because number one, it reminded many of them that they do have what it takes. Number two, if you have to have a session well prepared for every month of the 11 months, or, some of them only did 6 sessions or 7, nonetheless, it allowed them to create their own courses that they had been talking about creating forever and never
Mhm.
did it. But they had to have the content for these calls. And you
Mhm.
know how like you feed off of other people's their sessions. And so they knew they couldn't come with no junk because there were some who came and they were bringing all the goods, right? So now you see that person delivering, you be like, oh, I might want to step up my game. So it caused them to step up their game, to elevate their leadership, to create their programs that they didn't have, that they had been talking about, because now they had it, because you've delivered it. You delivered
Mhm.
6, 7, 8, 9 sessions for us. You have your course already. So
There you go.
it was the first time we had done that. It was beautiful. So Yolanda is
I
one of
love
our elite team leaders, and she spoke also this year on the stage at SpeakerCon.
And the synergy between that, she's also part of Speak Sell Shine, so she's been getting a whole lot of shine. She's been on TV twice. She was
Yeah.
just on an interview last Wednesday. We booked her in a whole bunch of different places. I mean, she's in so many places. She's like, oh my God. She says, I can't keep up with this. Like, what do I have to do next? And it's like, okay, you ready? You ready? Cheryl
Yeah.
made you ready. Let's get out there. Okay. So
Yeah.
she is
She's
doing the
crushing
thing.
it. And she did her conference.
Yes.
Uh,
Oh my God.
last
And
this year.
launching her book.
Yes.
Again, with fear and trepidation, she did it, and it was excellent.
Absolutely. It usually is. And it's like I tell
Mhm.
people all the time, when you launch something, you can always make it better the next time. You can always improve it. But you can't
Mhm.
improve something that you will never do.
What you
What you gonna improve? You
Mhm.
never even took the risk. So
Right.
I'm really, really excited for her and all the things she has going on.
So these are the graduates from last year, not this year, but because they had the cap and gowns
Yes.
last year. But this year they had the different thing. But this right here, I love this. But this is again another different hairstyle show right here. But this right here, you were fire at this one. So this particular one, you could go to read it. It's a little long right now, but just really talk about her global, why it is global, and she talks about Greece. in this particular one, and she was interviewed by Karen Simmons. Thank you so much, Karen, for this story. But
Yes, and I
really
got to meet her in person. She was great.
yeah, she was interviewing folks there while that. But she this year you went to International Summit in Athens, Greece. And where are you going next year? What's next year?
Barcelona, Spain.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
so every year my intention is to do at least one international speaker summit, and I take my speakers from the program from GSU with me, anybody who chooses to go. So
Right.
this year I had 13 of my GSU speakers to go to Athens, Greece with me, and they all spoke on stage. So now again, you're internationally speaking, right? Because one of the things that was my big call from SpeakerCon this year is ain't nothing local about you. You are meant to be global. Ain't nothing just local about you. So
I
stop,
love it.
diminishing your impact to what's in your zip code, your area code, your city, your state, and realize that there are people all over the world. And the beautiful part about the Athens, Greece thing was because I'm a member of Toastmasters, I was able to connect with their Athens, Greece chapter club.
Get out of
And so
here.
we
I
had
love it.
four of
Collaboration.
their speakers, four Grecian women came and spoke on our stage, and they brought 20, 30 other people with them to the event. So it was truly this collaborative international experience. And y'all, they laughed, they cried with us, they clapped. It was beautiful to see that we have more in common, right? Sometimes we think we have so much, are they going to understand us and get us? Yeah, they get us. Because as humans, we oftentimes suffer with the same challenges. We have some of the same desires. So it was beautiful. It was a beautiful experience.
And those videos will be embedded in the issue when you give me those YouTube links, so that we want people to watch those videos from years on, right? They're going to be here forever.
Yes.
So that will be really good. So collaboration is really the currency. YB's book. The other groups that we collaborate with, next one, Monet, is the Black Door Society, about amplifying your brand. And
Yes.
really, she can get people on Sirius XM and BET, all of the different ones, collaborating with these ladies as well. And it's, we always hear about your tribe, your circle, your network.
Yeah.
Uncle George Frazier taught us
Yes.
all well about networking and that kind of thing, and really within our own community. So Black Door Society is really about opening doors of opportunity for other Blacks, with the disappointment that a lot of us felt about the election, that kind of thing, with Kamala Harris not making it to the presidency. We still ain't done. We still can open doors for each other regardless.
Oh,
And we're
absolutely.
resilient. We're resilient as a people. One of the things too, getting your book out is really, really important. Getting it in the news, which is the next thing I want to talk to you about, Cheryl, as well, about the book for your students as well. Getting that out and making more headlines with their book is really, really important. I mean, the book can be good, but people got to hear about it, right, in other platforms.
Absolutely. Yep.
So that's one of the things. And then the next person, he came to your event. Flip the
I
page,
met
Monet.
him.
Oh my God, flip it, flip it. Stephen Boyd, he
Yes.
called me from the event. He was part of Speak Sell Shine, and you offered everybody from Speak Sell Shine an opportunity to come. He was like, "Oh my God, this is my first speaker con." He said, I'm blown away." He said, "I am blown away."
That's
And he just
awesome.
loved it. He was like, "Oh my God." So Stephen Boyd, he's a educator by trade. He talks a lot
Mm,
about parents and teachers and the kids and classroom management, that kind of thing. But he had
mm,
never witnessed anything like SpeakerCon. I was like, because he'd heard you at, obviously at
right.
Speak So Shine, but he
Right.
never saw you in your environment. Right.
Yeah.
So this
Yeah.
was the first one that he had did. And that was like one of the main things.
Yeah. He was
And
great. He had great energy. Really, really good energy.
and he's a minister as well. So he's a minister
Okay.
as well as a principal. And, you got to keep the two in public school. You got to keep it
Yeah.
separate. So
Yeah.
it was really, really inspiring for him. And then Kamaria, she's in here. She
Yeah.
is coming out. She had a stroke about 10 years ago. And she had lost her ability to walk and to speak. And now she has a podcast. She's writing books. She
Mhm.
is the person that's on that is part of Black Door Society that will be taking pictures and doing. I mean, so she has overcome so many challenges, but she is like, you would not know what she's been through, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she has a resilience and reinvention, and that's one of the things. So she's a stroke survivor. She's proud to tell that story because she's not what you just said. She doesn't look like what she's been through.
Yes.
So that is one of the things as well. And then the last person, Eric Collier. He is a mayor of Motivation, and he's from the DMV area, and he really does love what you did last year. Speak Sell Shine. He bought all your materials, all your books, and he's just like a student of that. And that's really, really key. Books are important. Books are important because they can go where you can't go. So
That's
you
right.
need to have books.
Right.
Okay, because people can't always sit at your but have books so that they can buy it and feed off of that. And then our friend Ron Stewart, he's part of Speaker Hub, used to be part of Pitch DB. Gotta watch how I say that. Pitch DB. It's a really great opportunity for you to go in and sign up and go and apply for speaking opportunities in every single week. That is really, really it. So I love this cover. Oh my God. So people can actually read the entire, download it. They can actually subscribe to it if they want to get the physical copy. Everybody at your conference got it.
Yes.
And then this one is a congratulations to Speak Sell Shine. This was at the Howard Theater again. Was one of those things where I wanted the entire theater for them. So that was one of the things. It was the same people that own Capitol View. Capitol, I can't think of where you had the
Capital Turnaround.
Yes, the same people that own that. They own Capitol Turnaround. So you know they don't play. That I like their facility in terms of their audiovisual.
Yes.
That's really
right.
Like,
top notch.
Top notch. Like it's like that's really what it is. But so that's when you did that one. But yeah, we got all the Dr. Cheryl over here. They could go on, if they go to speakersmagazine.com, they can actually put in Dr. Cheryl and then all the covers will come up and they can read. I love this one too. I love this white one too. That one was like,
I love all of them. They all
very demure. I love that. I love that. But yeah, you do such a good job at all your conferences, putting it all together, your team. Even the volunteers are excited. Like I said, Beverly was excited to come to that as well. It's one of those things where you make everybody feel good. You make everybody feel good, which is really your assignment. You're an empowerment person.
Yes.
You know, you're encouraging and empowerment. So that's your assignment. So thank you so much. If people want to go to speakersmagazine.com, you can put that up, Monet, where they can actually go to Speakers Magazine.
I'm planning to walk to the airport.
Do it. I'm telling you. Listen.
That's it.
You see, I got my man behind me. I got, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna walk through the airport.
Yes.
Listen, people have told me, they said, well, so what do you do? And they are selling books by carrying their sign. So you have a book? It's like,
Oh,
okay.
yeah, right in my bag. Yep, right. Let me pull that
Right
out
in
for
my
you.
bag. That's right, Rob.
Oh my God.
That's right.
So in the old days, way back in a long time ago, they used to call them sandwich signs. They would put them over your neck and then you would put it on there.
That's right.
So that might be the next move, okay? To make it so so you can walk through the airport with a sandwich sign.
Right.
This is it. This is it.
Look, advertising and PR by any means necessary.
Oh, that's exactly right.
We
But
pull
listen,
out all the stops. We will not just do digital, but we do old school too. We even do that. Okay.
Yes.
And these are actually mailed. These are actually mailed to meeting planners and to media. So that's why we still print them. It's like, well, why don't you just have it online? Because we mail it to the people who may not necessarily go online. So we mail it to the media people so that the media people say, oh, well, yeah, let me get in touch with such and such, because they actually have it in their hands.
There's nothing like holding something. Right? Something in print. Like I want to see myself in print. I want to touch it.
And it makes an impression. And you never get a second chance to make a first impression. Like I said, there's some people that's listening to this show right now that have never heard of you. They'll go back and look at all your stuff.
Yeah.
And then for those of you who, if that is you, I want you to make sure you let Cheryl Wood know that you heard about her on this show. Like, I never heard of you before. Go to her event and just walk up to her. You have permission to tell her YB said to tell you.
I love that.
And that's when you know that's real, because like I said, you never get a second chance to make a first impression.
Absolutely. Good stuff. That's so good.
This is like one of the first times we met in person. This was at George Frazier's event.
I remember
and
that.
You had the mic, rock the stage, and we had just kind of met in person, rock the stage, and then I had my mic as well. And we were like, let's do a picture together, girl.
We got history, Perry.
We got history. We were and listen, going to George's event was like, this is a whole bunch of people here.
Yeah.
Linda Clemens, meeting her there in person. Actually, Linda Clemens is here in Detroit right now. I mean, just the circle, being in the circle, being part of the Black Speakers Network is what it's really about. being about that. Getting Speak Up book. Les Brown did the foreword. George Fraser did the afterword. It's the circle. So you can't go within this circle and not collaborate with each other. We're not competing, we're collaborating. So making sure that we're opening doors for each other is really, really important. So Cheryl, thank you so much for being a part of our Cover Girl tribe history.
November girl. That's November girl.
Forever November. Hey, I love that.
This is good. And people are ready for the new year. They are ready. Once they come to this, they are so inspired. They are like spark plugs, like just shooting off of them. It's like, because I know Stephen was like, woo, I am just inspired. So you do that. So thank you so much. I know that it was a lot, and
so worth it. So worth it. All the time, the energy, the effort, the money, everything. So worth it. If you can say that,
do it next year. And people, if they want to go to it, if they want to sign up, where do they go?
SpeakerConConference.com. That's our standing site, and we'll open early bird tickets next month for those who already have the dates for 2025, which that's on the back of our workbook. This was our workbook this year.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Speak Up is your time to lead, and on the back, our dates are November 6th through 8th.
Woo, I love it. So it's a little bit later in November. I even love that better.
I normally do it the first weekend, which usually is like the 5th or the 6th. This year, something happened where they didn't have those dates available, so we moved it up the date before. I don't like to move it back because people get into the holiday, and I don't want people to have to decide, am I going to come here and travel, or I'm going to go to my family on Thanksgiving. So but this year and for next year, 2025, we're no longer doing 4-day.
Okay.
We are down to 2 days. So
I will see you then.
Yeah,
I will be there.
So
I will be there on the red carpet doing the interviews. So I will be there.
You want to be in the building, or decide you ain't going to be in the building, but you got to make a decision, right? We got to get people into the frame of making a decision that you're going to show up for you. So most people can take a Friday off. You can be off a Friday and a Saturday if you plan in advance. So the dates are already there. We'll open early bird next month, November 6th through 8th. The 6th we'll do an awards dinner the night before, but then the conference will be 2 days, the 7th and the 8th.
Okay. All right. So we'll talk about that, so we can actually get the release out for that. So that when it's live, we'll start promoting it. So people will give their own Christmas gift to themselves.
That's right.
By doing their SpeakerCon for 2025. Okay. Exactly. So YB. So we'll plan on that. Maybe we'll definitely make sure that we're there and doing the interviews.
I gotta be in the building.
Yes. Bring your wife.
2 years. I may just bring bring my daughter too. I'm saying I need to.
Come on.
That's it. That is it. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining
us
today.
Thanks, Dr. Pam. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Arnold. I miss you.
All right. God bless. God bless. Thank you.